Good morning. Welcome back. Today is day 5 of the parenting gold found in our current quarantine. Actually, the powerful parenting curriculum found in our current quarantine. I've had so much fun this week. And I feel like this is such a valuable principle that we've been talking about perseverance and endurance. And I would urge you to check out the earlier segments that I did on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week. They're all posted on my Facebook and on my YouTube channel, which will be listed soon in my bio, and you'll be able to find them. Anyway, so today I thought, since we've been talking about perseverance, let me remind you of the definition. Persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. And there's a lot of delays right now, right? There's a whole lot of natural curriculum for us as parents to work into our children during this time without even trying. It just naturally occurs, right? And endurance, let me remind you what endurance is. The fact or power of enduring an unpleasant or difficult process or situation without giving in, without giving way, without calling it quits. And so as we're trying to allow perseverance and endurance to become muscles within our children's character and within our character as parents, because if we don't have it, chances are our kids aren't going to have it. But today I thought it would be fun to go into the lab and do some practical application, because I am a firm believer that every principle that is philosophical, that we believe should be able to be applied practically in our lives. When I wrote my book, No Ordinary Child, Unlocking the Leader Within Your Child, it was important to me that I wasn't just philosophical or spiritual or psychological. I really wanted to give parents handles to grab on, practical ropes to grab on, to pull them up and out. And so today I thought we could go into the lab and I could help you to help your children work at building this muscle. Right now what we have is we have a lot of time, right? So there's no excuses. And I'm even doing this because isn't it wonderful to have time? Time to breathe. Now I know I don't downplay or soften the seriousness of what we're dealing with as far as financial losses and life loss and all that. I'm not underplaying that, and I've tried to make that really clear. But I am saying let's mine the gold in this time of quarantine. And time is so precious. Just time to breathe, time to be, time to think, time to be with your kids, time to talk, time to stop, time to interact in ways that your normal schedule doesn't allow you to interact. And so time, I know you all have it, so I know that you can do this practical application. And I want to talk about how my husband, he paid our Visa bill the other day, and we have a Visa card and we pay it off every month because that's just always been our practice. Because if you're in consumer debt over your head, you're going to be stressed out and miserable, and you're not going to be able to parent well, and you're not going to have a good marriage. Debt is horrible. Okay, so if you have a Visa card, make every effort to get that paid. And so we use it for convenience and for safety online, and for points on Amazon. But it was so low, and I was like, wow, I have really been thinking about every purchase before I purchase it, and I bet you have too. It's actually been really good for me to see, what do I really need? It's made me rethink some of the supplements I'm on. Do I really need that? It's a great time to take inventory, isn't it? You've got the time, you can look over your expenditures, and you can say, because you know what? It's a fact that double income families, and probably most every family in America, spends 1/3 more than they bring in every month. Think about that. That adds up quick, and it becomes clutter. It becomes a horrible weight in every area of your life. So pay off your Visa bill. Okay, it's curbed my spending, but being around the house so much and being on lockdown right now has also revealed to me more clutter that I've got to get rid of. Have you been feeling that? Like stuff just all of a sudden I'll go, oh, that's really eating at me, because when we're so busy and we're flying in and out the house and we're buying more stuff, we just start shoving things, and then suddenly we're home and we've got time to think, and we're like, oh my gosh, that closet, that drawer, why do I have that? It's broken. Why am I keeping that? I haven't used it in a year and a half. So I thought today what we could talk about is clutter in our lives, clutter in America. And I just want to, I want to review to you how we've changed as a nation, at least in America. And I bet wherever you're watching from, Australia, South Africa, I bet you are exactly the same, because human nature is the same everywhere, right? No matter what's in your wallet or what country you live in, we are motivated by the same things within ourselves. Let's just talk about how houses have changed. I call this the swelling dwelling. Do you know that in the 1950s, when everybody was probably having 4 to 8 kids, right? The average house was 1,000 square feet. Okay, just drink that in for a minute and think about what you think you need. 1,000 square feet. In the 70s, it jumped to 1,500 square feet. Okay, the swelling dwelling. We jumped to the 1990s, and the average was 2,080 square feet. Okay, and then in 2004, the last stat that I have, the homes were on average 2,349 square feet with 3 garages and 1.5 kids, right? Think about that. 3 garages. Okay, so we are expanding, and whenever we expand, usually the vacuum gets filled with more stuff. Let me give you a few statistics. Do you know that just in the United States of America, we are spending $39 billion a year on self-storage units? It's around $100 a month per family that does this. But just think about that, $39 billion. Just locking stuff up in a garage somewhere else that you probably never look at or even touch. Some people leave it in there for 10, 15, 20 years. Think about that, okay? Do you know that statistically, and I have facts to back all this up, so if you want one, I'm not going to take the time to give you the citation, but I have the citations. Okay, get ready to get mind blown. Get your coffee. 80% of what we keep, we never use. Okay? Getting rid of clutter would eliminate 40% of the housework in an average home. Mom, did you hear that? 40%. We wear 20% of the clothes we own 80% of the time. I know I do. I go to my drawer and say, well, which uniform am I going to wear today? Do you do the same? Yep, I thought so. 25% of homeowners polled with 2-car garages fill it with so much stuff they can't park even 1 car in there. And 32% of those polled can fit 1 but not 2 cars because of all the junk, okay? The demand for storage doubled. I don't know what happened to all of us. I'd have to do the history, but it doubled from 1994 to 2004 in just 10 years. Our desire and use of self-storage units outside of our home where we live doubled. Home storage products like the Container Store and all those organizational places has become a almost $5 billion industry. We are spending a lot of money on our junk, aren't we? The junk we never even look at. Each year, 100 million households receive 16.6 billion catalogs, okay? Typical U.S. workers, this is a different form of clutter, are interrupted by communications technology every 10 minutes. Just think about the clutter. 23% of adults pay their bills late because they can't find them. I'm laughing because I'm relating to some of this. Okay, every year, you've heard build the wall? Every year, and remember, I don't get political on my live shows, but every year enough paper is thrown away to make a 12-foot wall from New York to California, across from sea to shining sea, across the Great Plains of America, okay? That's how much paper is thrown away. One of my favorite people on the planet that I've read his book and just read about him and so enjoyed. His name is Don Aslett, okay? And Don is the founder and president of one of the nation's largest cleaning companies. And he's such an interesting guy. And his expertise and passion is about getting rid of stuff. Because he spent so many years dealing with cleaning people's homes, offices, decorating their homes for Christmas. It was the most interesting story that he found that when he was hired to decorate offices for Christmas, which is such an industry now, and he was probably one of the first ones to do it. He would go and his team would, put all the lights on the tree and all the ornaments and all that, and then they'd come back and they'd undo everything, and he found out that it would save hours and hours and hours of time and money just to go back after Christmas, take everything and dump it. Boy, that's sad, isn't it? But he was a genius sort of a guy. Well, he still is. He's still alive. But he said this. He wrote a book that I just really, really enjoy. I don't even know if it's in print anymore, but it's called Clutters Last Stand. Okay? That's fun, isn't it? He said, I found that every one of us, okay, every single one of us, whoever you are watching, is a junker. Okay, this guy knows. He worked with a big enough portion of the population. He knows that every single one of us, to some degree, is a junker. And that it's the single biggest reason for personal unhappiness. That when I read those words, it really profoundly impacted me. Because we think of junk, but we don't really think of what it costs us in so many ways. He found that it's the single biggest reason for personal unhappiness. And he promises us, after, he's been in the business for 5-6 decades, okay? He promises that getting the clutter out of our life can and will rid us of more discouragement, tiredness, and boredom than anything we can do. Is that not profound? That our personal happiness, our boredom, our discouragement, our tiredness is impacted by how much stuff we keep. I took that to heart, and it's impacted my life for the last over 20 years. Why do we keep clutter? Why do we keep it? Some of the top reasons, I think, that could be worth something someday. That is the thing I hear every single time. Every single time I go through junk with people. But that could be worth something someday, right? You too? Guilt. Well, Grandma gave that to me. Double guilt. Well, Grandpa made that for me. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's a wood carving that weighs 35 pounds and, I want to hide it under the bed, but, right? Guilt makes us cling to things. Well, someday those clothes are going to fit again, right? Well, I could sell those clothes if they don't fit again. Yeah, maybe at the vintage store in 30 years, but in the meantime, you've got to stash them, right? I might need that. I might read that book that's been sitting in my drawer for 15 years, but I've heard it's great, right? How much weight books cost us. My husband had the most amazing collection of Winston Churchill books and all sorts of history books. And on one of the latest moves that we had in the last 10 years, he just put them all by the side of the road, called all the boys and said, I got to get rid of these books. It's just too much to move and store and haul and books, okay? I might read that. Or worse, Junior made that for me. I can't throw away, 100 paper plates with his crayons and markers and glue and, right? Okay, so I personally fight clutter on every horizontal space. All right, I'm sorry. Probably the whole time I was homeschooling my children, we only saw the dinner table on weekends. I know, that's so bad. So bad. It was so covered with stuff. But I tend to have to fight clutter personally everywhere. In my garage, in every closet, in every door, on every computer, in my brain space, on my weekly schedule. And I find every time that less is more. And I fight it, okay? So I don't just give in and surrender and raise the white flag. And I'm getting to the parenting part of this because what you're doing, you're transferring that same DNA to your kids. I was raised frugal. I was raised that when you're in the shower and you're sudsing up, your shower water is not running, okay? You only run that water when you're rinsing, okay? And if you really want to save water, you just do an army shower, right? And you use the same towel for a week. You just hang it up to dry it. Good stuff. I was raised with that you don't waste food. So consequently, I freeze everything. I always freeze it. Dr. Mercola says, food you make at home, you should freeze by day 4, freeze or eat. Food you buy at a restaurant, you should eat by day 2 or throw it out. I follow those rules. I like Dr. Mercola and I trust him and I don't want to get sick, but I do save wilty vegetables and the last of the peanut butter, and that tomato soup could go in chili. And so I'm frugal, and I think that served me well, but it can also work against me. I got my dad's keeper gene, all right? My husband is a type A neatnik, and he's streamlined and it's peaceful, and he can pack in 5 minutes, and I love that. I admire that deeply. That's not my tendency. I'm working on that. I'm a grandma now. I'm still working on it. I imagine I'll be working on it forever. But moms tend to be frugal, right? A lot of moms, and homeschool moms especially, because we're on one income. So we're saving every baby food jar and oatmeal box and hand-me-downs. And, that book, we could use that book. And here in my city, we have little book nooks all over the place, little private book nooks. People put their used books in. I've gotten some gems in there, right? But while I'm walking, it's so tempting to stop. I'm like, I'm like a squirrel looking for nuts to hide. And there are so many valuable books. So I've got to go through my books again, because those books at a used bookstore even, Goodwill's thinking a whole lot of their stuff these days. Some used books, they want $10, $20 for, right? Classics? Exactly. I have a friend who sent her daughter to college just by selling used books on Amazon. Truth. Well, if you're going to sell them like that and make an income, then it's worth keeping the clutter. But if you're not, and you're probably not, it may be time to go through your stuff. All right, so what I found is a pack rat tends to be a pack rat in every area of life. So whether I'm going on a day trip or a vacation, a picnic, a date night, I have to fight my tendency to put every single thing in my purse. And my kids know if we're at a concert or a picnic, you got any lavender essential oil? Got any scissors in there? Hey, could you carry this for me? Because I've always got my bag, right? You don't have any thread, do you? How about dental floss, right? You can find just about anything in my purse, but I do come in handy. Okay, so questions for you. Have you ever noticed that everything has its own energy? I heard that and I thought it was new age, and I kind of went, whatever. But honestly, think about this. When you walk into a cluttered space, from head to toe, what happens to you? You feel stressed and confined and suffocated. Some people's homes that you go into, you just feel busy the whole time you're there. You can't focus on anything because everything's calling to you, right? It does have its own energy. I totally believe that. But do you find when you walk into a minimalist home, a streamlined home, that you feel peace and lighthearted and joy? Unless they're sterile people with no warmth or personality. I've been in those houses too. Get me out now. Take me back to Clutterland. I don't. But anyway, so verdict. Junk is costly. It's heavy. We have to move it. We have to dust it. We have to clean around it. We have to sell it. We have to give it away. We have to store it. We have to pay to store it. Type A people even, my husband's great at getting rid of stuff, but I know type A people that they don't get rid of stuff. They just organize it really well, right? So they dedicate entire rooms to their organized stuff. It looks neat and tidy, but it's still clutter. And I want to say, this is a perfect time. You've got time to help your kids get rid of clutter, for you to get rid of clutter. If, in fact, Don Aslett's right when he says clutter is, the single biggest reason for personal unhappiness, and getting rid of our clutter will rid us of more discouragement, tiredness, and boredom than anything else we can do. I think it's time to think about that, and it's a time that we could test that principle, test that, and see if it really does work, right? Let's engage and do this. Peter Drucker said this: there is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. How many times you've hauled that junk? How many times you've shifted that junk? How many times you've walked in Junior's room and rolled your eyes and face palmed and just said, I can't cope with this, right? How many times? There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. We're polishing our crap, and maybe it's dust free, but it's still standing there talking to us, right? Weighing us down, costing us $39 billion a year. But you need a plan and you need a mantra. And Don Aslett said this. He said, don't love anything that can't love you back. Relatives have tried to guilt me for getting rid of things that were handed down to me, given to me by other relatives. That is so wrong, okay? Because that person is not in that pottery vase, okay? That maybe the memory's there, but that person's not there. So getting rid of that doesn't mean I don't love that person. Detach love from things, because nothing can love you back except people and relationships. And if you're cluttered with all this stuff and it's robbing your time, your energy, it's making you discouraged and weary and broke, what good is it to your relationships? So don't love anything that can't love you back. I have used that for almost 30 years. When I'm getting rid of stuff, when I'm going through clothes, yeah, they're great clothes, but they're clothes I never wear. Somebody else can enjoy them, right? Don't love anything that can't love you back is a great mantra. There are a million resources online. Obviously, you just Google minimalist or Marie Kondo, or why is this a gazillion-dollar a year industry? Because people really understand they don't want the clutter. They just don't know how to break the cycle. I remember taking a meal to one of my neighbors, and she lived in a gorgeous neighborhood, and I could not believe when I walked into her house, and she was a public school teacher, and she was organized and sharp, but you had to follow the path through her house, because along the path, which was about 2 feet wide, was stuff stacked up like to your shoulders. Real truth. I'm just saying. Tell me that was not a prison for that woman. And in retrospect, I can understand her psychological problems and her mental problems, because you can't live in that jungle of stuff if it's making you discouraged and tired and depressed and weighing you down, right? Okay, so don't love anything that can't love you back. Break it down and include your kids. Make a plan. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. And don't overestimate how much you can get done. Let's take a room a week at 10 in the morning. Kids, okay, here's your list. I used to get sent to my room to clean my room without a list. And before you knew it, I was like in the mirror doing commercials for lipstick, and pretty soon the lipstick was all over my face. And then I was talking about how to make lipstick, and before you knew it, I was up there 3 hours and I got nothing done. Give your kids a checklist. It's so helpful for them. It gives them boundaries. It gives them clarity. It helps them to know exactly what needs to be done at exactly what time, and this is how long you have to get it done. Number one, okay, look under your bed. Okay. Get what I'm saying? Make a list. And the freebie I'm giving away at denisemira.com this currently is so helpful, practical help for engaging your children in domestic things. All right. So what I do is I have 3 bags and a camera. Okay. Bag number 1, and I can use a trash bag or I can use an old box. Bag number 1 is garbage. All right. It's broken pens that don't write anymore. I was at a friend's house and I was trying every single pen, and there were probably 50 in the drawer and not one of them worked. Why do people keep pens that don't work? I don't understand it. Okay? Things that are broken, parts that you don't even know what they go to. All right? All that stuff. Throw it in your trash bag. Then you've got a bag for giveaway or thrift store or Goodwill. Stuff that whatever. Third bag is sell stuff, okay? Yes, you might have some really valuable stuff that can be sold, or not even really valuable, but if you can get $20 for it and it takes you 10 minutes to post, why not? So I have 3 bags, and then I have a camera because Don Aslett gave me this tip. Let's say your kid has like an amazing project, a paper mache globe that's just so detailed and beautiful. What are you going to hang it in the living room for the next 20 years? Have Junior hold it at every angle. Take pictures, date them, and then throw it away. It's, hell won't freeze over. Your child won't be bitter. Now, if your kid really loves it and wants to hang on to it for another year, whatever. But you can't let him love everything and hang on to everything. There has to be a limit, right? So take pictures of things that you love. Maybe, or you could scan them, right? I've scanned a bunch of the pictures that my kids, really cool, like documents they did in school, papers, artwork. So fun digitally, but we can get cluttered digitally too. So it's not easy, is it? Okay, so Remember, usable things, maybe I'll use that someday, but usable things get used. Valuable things give you value. Okay? Is your stuff getting used and giving you value? If it's not, that's a good filter to know, I got to get rid of this. One of my kids just gave me an amazing coffee pot they never used. Okay? Well, I love it. One man's junk is another man's treasure. So bless somebody. There's a lot of these buy nothing Facebook sites where you can, post and tell people what you have, give a picture of it, and then they come get it. And it's a blessing to them, right? Okay. Symptoms of COVID-19 are overflowing freezers, refrigerators, pantries, okay? Let's deal with that. Let's, instead of continuing to buy, let's do an inventory of our cupboards before we go to the store next time. See what ingredients we already have and what we can make with what we have. It will lessen your grocery store purchases and bills and everything you're carrying into the house so much. Okay, the other things that we have clutter on right now is our brain, our mental space, scrolling all the time, thinking, reading the news. Stop it. It's clutter. It's weighing you down. It's making you discouraged and tired and oppressed, okay? Just check in now and again. Don't do it. Okay, check your screen time. It's probably out of control. All right, one of my biggest things is paper. I don't have a lot of treasures, but I have my pictures, my online pictures, not online, digital pictures, and my paper. Oh my gosh, paper. That statistic that if we looked at all the paper wasted, we could build a 12-foot wall from California to New York. I think I'm responsible for the state of Washington, just in paper. I've been shredding and trying so hard to not, because what did they say too? 80% of the documents we file, we never look at again. Oh, I might need that. You know what I started doing is calling people to say, do I need these documents? If you sign papers on a house, do I need these documents? You can shred them, so many of them. Okay. Relational clutter. Too many contacts in your phone. You're not even using them. Who is John Swazik anyway? Who is Millie Mahler anyway? I mean, really, there's so many areas of clutter I'm addressing. Email clutter. How many emails? How many subscriptions? How many friends that really pull you down, weigh you down? Do you know that you are the product, typically, and so are your children, of the 5 people that are closest to them? And some of those relationships, God loves everyone and everyone's precious, but some of those relationships for you and your kids are cluttering your lives. They're pulling you backwards. They're holding you back from your dreams. They're dwarfing your mentality. They're keeping you small and fat and cluttered and weary. Gently move forward and move on, and don't make time for those. Okay, what other kind of things do we have clutter in? Weekly schedules, meetings that are totally unnecessary, called by everything from schools to churches to friends. Okay, we go because we're guilty. Don't do that. That's clutter. It's clutter in your schedule. Those Macy's one day only sales, one day, last day ever, forever your last day to use that coupon. You got to go there and use that coupon. Why? Because once you walk in that door, you're probably going to find 20 more things you need. It's a loss leader. It's pulling you in the door. It's making you want to buy more. So actually that $5 savings just cost you $299 in more stuff, right? So that can be clutter as well. I hope this has helped you. I hope you eat the elephant one bite at a time, and I hope you engage your children in it, because teaching them this principle will help them not to become pack rats. Get in your fridge. Look at all the dressings that have expired, all the sauces, it may take you an hour, it may take you a day, but go through your kitchen and get rid of all the stuff that really is useless, that's making you fat and unhealthy, that's loaded with sugar. And if you feel guilty getting rid of it, give it to a friend who loves that kind of stuff and really doesn't intend to get healthy or lose weight or change their life, because they'll feel blessed by it until they get the revelation of health. So I just want to urge you and remind you that not to love anything that can't love you back, to employ your children, and to make sure that endurance and perseverance is worked into this exercise, because that means they don't get to quit when the going gets rough. Mama, I don't know what to get rid of. I love this shirt and I love these jeans and I love these shoes, but they don't fit. Okay, talk them through it. Talk them off the ledge, okay? But Grandma gave that to me. Talk them through it. Talk them about Talk to them about what's precious, what's valuable, what they really want to keep, what is really a treasure they want to display. Talk to your kids about this, and don't let them quit in the middle and watch Netflix. Don't let them quit in the middle. Say, for 1 hour, I want you to fill this box, and this box, and we're going to look under your bed. Make it a happy time. Make it a joyful time. Make the finish line something that you do together, whether you make cookies in the kitchen or smoothies or, go for a walk somewhere fun. I don't know. But get your kids in this and help them build that muscle of endurance and perseverance while you declutter. And then hit me up and tell me how free and happy and peaceful you feel. I'm going to check in with you too and tell you how free and happy and peaceful I feel, because I've got a list of stuff. I've just taken a bunch of pictures of things I need to sell. And things sort of like with me crawl up the back of my neck, and pretty soon they're tapping on my head. And my junk is tapping on my head, my files. So my office right now is just a disaster of files, but I'm shredding and feeling so much freer with every bag I shred. So do it. Have a great weekend. Just make it a beautiful day wherever you're living. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we have sun, and I've proclaimed it International Hat Day. So since my hairdresser's closed, I think we're going to see more hats around, right? God bless you all. Visit me at denisemirror.com and tell me what you want me to talk about on lives. So good to see you all. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye now.